Welcome to PDAC 2023. My name is Julian DeRosier from the IIF. I'm joined today with Lindsay. Hi Lindsay, how are you doing?
I'm going really well, thanks very much. Yourself?
Thank you, very good. Thanks.
Yeah, good.
All right, so maybe introduce yourself and the company you're working for.
Okay, all right. The company that I'm working for is Jindalee Resources. We're listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. Our ticker is JRL. I founded the company a bit over 20 years ago, and we recently separated all of our Australian assets from the company, and Jindalee is now a pure play US lithium company.
Pure play US lithium, that sounds very trendy, but there's a lot of competitors out there. What distinguishes you? Do you have already resources? Where are you located specifically in the US?
Yes, no, two very good questions. We're located in southeastern Oregon at the northern end of the McDermott caldera. At the southern end of the McDermott caldera is the Thacker Pass deposit, owned by Lithium Americas, which was, until Monday last week, was the largest lithium deposit in the United States. We put out an announcement on Monday that basically our McDermott deposit is now the largest lithium deposit in the United States, with 21.5 million tonnes of lithium carbonate equivalent in resource. That's indicated and inferred resource. Thacker Pass has 19 million tonnes in resource. That's measured, indicated and inferred. So look, you know, it was a fantastic result. Our team did really well last year, where they had a very successful drilling program, and so we're very happy to be able to announce that we're the fruits of their labours, if you like, of our labours have been able to be harvested. So,
well, this is pretty exciting. So the biggest resource in the United States, and a country that is pushing very much the Green Deal, that is pushing very much, has a lot of subsidiaries, incentives and so on for production of either carbonate or either hydroxyl on their soil. So what are the next steps for you guys? Now that you establish you have the biggest deposit, and we both know that the size is not that's the only thing. We're talking about impurities, we're talking about chemistry behind. So what's going to be the work that's going to be done on this phase?
Yeah, no, a very good question. So there's no point in having the largest lithium deposit in the United States if you can't get the lithium out profitably. So what we've been doing through last year, we've been doing a lot of metallurgical test work, and we've established that we can either test or extract the lithium using leaching with sulfuric acid, which is what our neighbours at Thacker Pass are proposing to do, or we can also extract the lithium using a process called alkali salt or sulfation roasting. We've just had an engineering company, a very large engineering company, we haven't named them as yet, review all of the metallurgical test work for our project. They put a recommendation to the board last week as to the way we should proceed with further test work. So that'll be one of our major focuses for this year. The rest of this year is to do a lot more test work to be able to produce larger quantities of lithium carbonate for potential end users to take away and test. We'll also be completing financial studies, economic studies on the project, because to date we haven't been able to release the financial metrics for the project. And you can imagine with the project now, a resource this large, it's got a very, very large NPV, and we need to be able to present that in a way that's acceptable to the ASX, and that'll also happen this year.
Yes, and for sure, big NPV need also big capex and so on. Quite often in lithium, we see development in stages and so on.
Yep.
So, how capital intensive is your project until investment decision?
Oh, look, I mean, these projects are very high capex. They're very, very big projects and low grade. So they're the equivalent of the porphyry copper style deposits in the lithium world, but because they're so big, they've got the potential to supply lithium to the United States for decades and decades and decades. And so that makes them very strategically important. Thacker Pass, as I said, our neighbours just down the road, they announced in the last month, they've announced an investment from GM of $650 million to get, that's United States dollars, in order to get offtake, for GM to get offtake from the Thacker Pass deposit, and they've also announced that they've applied for a loan from the Department of Energy, the US Department of Energy, which, if it's approved, they expect it'll cover up to 75% of the capital of the project. So, look, we're a little way behind them. They're a lot more advanced than us. Yeah. But having said that, we're catching up very quickly. We are very encouraged by, obviously, two main sources of capital to develop these projects now, being end users and also the US government, to try and make the US more self-sufficient in critical minerals.
Exactly, so, yeah. For sure, the US coming in is something big that's been happening lately, and that will empower companies like you to fast forward development, goes all the way to the production. But for people who are interested by the story, wants to know more, can you tell us a bit more on the investor side about the share structure? How does it look like, and maybe cash on hand and so on? Sure.
Look, for a company that's been listed on ASX for over 20 years, we listed in July 2002 now, we've got a very, very tight capital structure, only 57.4 million shares. The top 20 own 80% of the company, so it's very, very tightly held. In fact, I own 25% of the stock myself. I've never sold a share. I've only ever bought. I'm a great believer in Jindalee and in our McDermott project. I think this is going to be a hugely transforming project for the company. So cash on hand at the end of the December quarter, we had 3.3 million in cash, but that doesn't include cash that's going to be reimbursed to us from our spin out of our Australian assets, Dynamic Metals. Their ticker's DYM, listed on ASX. Yep. And they raised $7 million in their IPO, and Jindalee funded a lot of those IPO costs, so we'll be being reimbursed from them. But having said that, we will, we're pretty ambitious. We want to fast track the development of McDermott, so we'll be looking to raise more money probably between now and the mid-year, 30 June.
Okay, well then in that case, everyone that is interested to follow the story, where can they find more about the story, and how can they join you if they need you?
Okay, all right, so our website, the URL is jindalee.net, so very simple. And we're also listed on, so you'll find all of our announcements and information there. Also listed on the ASX, as I said, our code is JRL. So if you go to the ASX, you'll be able to find us on the ASX as well.
Perfect. Well, that was a very, very interesting overview of Jindalee and the project. #1 resources in the United States. This has to be such a thrill. Congrats on the accomplishment, Lindsay, and thank you very much for your time.
Oh, no, thanks for your interest. It's very much appreciated. Thank you.